Welcome to my Season 1 timeline explanation video. Before we begin, because of the differences between the books, the games, and the show, we will only be using evidence as provided by the show to avoid discrepancies and confusion. So let's jump right in. As you know, Season 1 had three main storylines, Ciri, Geralt, and Yennefer. However, those storylines were not running concurrently. From a historical perspective, Ciri's timeline, otherwise known as Princess Cirilla, is the only timeline that starts in what would be considered present day. Also, for the entirety of Season 1, Ciri's timeline is considered to have covered a span of just a few days, maybe a few weeks maximum. So for these two reasons, Ciri's timeline is going to be considered our baseline. With present day defined, we can now go through the season and look for clues that would establish relative interconnectivity between the three timelines. The first such clue comes in Episode 3, Betrayer Moon. In this scene, we see King Foltest in Geralt's timeline appears to be middle-aged, maybe late 40s, early 50s.
Will my daughter be normal?
She'll need special care. She's lived as an animal.
In the same episode, in Yennefer's timeline, we see King Foltest portrayed as a preteen.
Foltest! Leave your sister be. Show Madame de Vries some respect.
Although we have no tie-in to Ciri's time frame, this would conclusively establish that Yennefer's storyline exists 35 to 40 years prior to Geralt's as of Episode 3. As we move on to Episode 4, called Of Banquets, Bastards, and Burials, we have two events of note. The first is that we see Geralt at the wedding party of Ciri's parents, where it appears that Ciri's mother is already pregnant with Ciri.
Destiny can go.
Are you?
Now, previously Ciri mentioned that she is the same age as her grandmother was at her grandmother's first famous battle, which was 15 years old. So, if we factor in the 15 years plus the pregnancy, we know that Geralt is about 16 years behind Ciri. The second item of note is this conversation with Yennefer, where she advances her timeline by 30 years.
And I really, really love that instead I've gotten to spend the last 3 decades cleaning up stupid political messes.
Now, neither Ciri nor Geralt's traveling companion Jaskier have aged, so we have to assume this 30 plus years has only affected Yennefer's timeline. This should put Yennefer very close to synchronous with Geralt's timeline. Episode 5 has a few gifts to offer as well. First, we have to deal with Jaskier trolling us.
Geralt! Hello. What's it been? Months? Years? What is time, anyway?
Now, of course, the inside joke is kind of funny, but he did say that years have passed, so that should be moving Geralt closer to Ciri. Remember, Ciri does not age throughout this entire season. The second insight is when Geralt runs into Yennefer inside the mayor's house.
And I hardly think bathing in this house is going to leave me any cleaner.
I insist. I can not only guess the age and breed of your horse, but also its color, or the smell.
This means that not only is the timeline of Yennefer and Geralt synchronous, but both have advanced some years upon Ciri getting close to her timeline as well. In Episode 7, we see Geralt return to Cintra.
I'm here to protect the girl.
Who I've raised as my own. Why would I give my only heir to someone who never cared enough to come back for her?
This would put him just a few days behind the events of the first episode, and just a few more days behind Ciri's timeline. And finally, in Episode 8, we get the payoff. Yennefer is just a short distance away at the Battle of Sodden, so for Season 2, all three timelines should remain synchronous. Well, that's it everybody. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the beginning of Season 2.